What is eXoDOS? Even though I've been working on this project for over 12 years now, I still pause to come up with that answer every time I'm asked this. This is partially due to the fact that eXoDOS continually changes, but it's also because my own idea of it continues to change. At its core, eXoDOS is a way to experience MS-DOS games as quick and painless as sticking a cartridge in a console, which is no small task due to the sheer number of games created for the platform, combined with the somewhat complicated methods required to emulate them on modern systems. The MS-DOS platform existed for nearly 20 years. In the span of that time, we saw games graduate from parser-based interactive fiction to full 3D fragfests. The 8-bit, 16-bit, and 32-bit era all came and went during this time period. You can play the PlayStation-era games such as Wipeout and Destruction Derby on the same platform that was once limited to a single-tone speaker and 4 shades of green or orange. CPUs exponentially increased in power. The CD-ROM was introduced. Colors soared from a handful into the millions, and dedicated sound and video cards hit the market. It's one of the longest-lived platforms, and for all these reasons, it's also one of the most complex to emulate. eXoDOS uses Dosbox as its primary emulator. Dosbox is unique compared to many emulators, in that it's not just emulating the operating system and a defined set of hardware. It's emulating everything from an 8086 to a Pentium. It's emulating a half dozen sound cards, a wide range of RAM and video card options, and lesser used features such as networking cards and serial connect cables. eXoDOS is currently comprised of 7,200 games. This covers a majority of all known commercial releases and a substantial number of shareware and freeware releases. The entries cover a time period that spans games designed as early as 1979, all the way up to releases from just this year in 2020. Each game has its own configuration file known as a conf. This tells DOSBox what sort of computer the game expects to be run on. If the emulated machine is too fast, the game is unplayable. If the emulated machine is too slow, the game is unplayable. The CPU speed, the amount of RAM, video type, sound cards, and the capability to use special features like networking or 3D effects cards are all tested and enabled for each game where possible. However, making all the games playable presented a new challenge. Thousands of games become impenetrable. Where does one even begin? That's where the front end and the gigabytes of associated metadata come. It's not enough to just make the game playable. I wanted it to have context. I wanted to be able to sort by the same types of information you might search by on a website like Moby Games. I wanted it to have screenshots, box art, media scans, manuals, scans of the fun little extras like maps, guidebooks, and all the pack-ins that added to the game's experience. Bringing all this together not only helped provide the game's total package, it also made it possible to browse the collection just as you would a game database. But with this one, any game that piques your interest is only a button away from launching and enjoying. So, why do all this? The honest answer is back in 2006, I wanted to play some of my old DOS adventure games, and I found I was spending more time trying to get them running than I was spending enjoying them. What started as a small DOS adventure game collection, it quickly turned into an idea in the back of my head for a massive DOS project. And by then my reason had shifted solely to preservation. Games I remembered playing from back in my days as a kid, logging into bulletin board systems, had begun to disappear. Posts were popping up on forums from authors who were looking to see if anyone had a copy of their game. The originals had either been lost or damaged over time. Magnetic media was dying, and unfortunately, a majority of the copies of these games that existed online were poor quality scene rips. After all, they were designed to be transmitted over dial-up modems. Things like music and speech and movies, these are luxuries that few had the bandwidth or the storage space to afford. What started as an easy way to pirate games had become a graveyard of poor game copies. It's important to start preserving these games, and my personal philosophy is that nothing encourages preservation as much as playability. So while I would love to know that every MS-DOS game was safely stored away at the Smithsonian or the Strong Museum, I wouldn't be content with this. Art, as debatable as that is in some of these cases, is meant to be seen and appreciated. If years and years of movies were locked away in a vault, we would take solace in knowing that they were safe. while also being robbed of any perspective or insights that they might bring to us by experiencing them. This is just as true for games. Some of the games in eXoDOS need no introduction. Doom and dozens of others are pop culture memes and household names. But behind those DOS celebrities are thousands of unknown games. Some of them, well, a lot of them, they're really bad. Some of them are undeniably racist or offensive. Others, however, are undiscovered gems. I encourage you to dig in. Find a game you grew up playing or one your mom or dad mentioned once. Try something totally new. See how far you get into a text adventure. Build a city and see how long you get before you get bored and you hit the disaster button. Try to make it to Oregon without someone dying of dysentery. Round up some buddies and play some good old death matches like it's 2 a.m. on a Friday night in 1996. Sit down with your kid and watch in amazement as they solve puzzles in King's Quest that you spent days trying to tackle. Whatever you do, just enjoy what is, in my opinion, one of the widest ranging and most influential game platforms in the history of the medium. So, what is eXoDOS? It's playable preservation, with a healthy dose of nostalgia for those of us who lost many nights of sleep to the pixelated worlds that seem to go on forever, despite the radical limitations of the machines we enjoyed them on. Thank you for watching. And while you're welcome to comment below, I encourage you to come join our Discord, where we can enjoy each other's perspectives, and you can join my team and thousands of others and myself in celebrating and preserving the world of DOS games.